I'm Dr. Duke with The New American, and this is my take on the news. I'd like to talk to you today about a phenomenon that I think is becoming a bigger problem. We've known for a long time what a complete cluster blank Hollywood is, how utterly uninterested in American values they are, how subversive they are, how nosy and intrusive and loud and unkind Hollywood celebrities are to any kind of traditional value. But there's another aspect of this in the last 6 to 8 months, really in the last year, that has become as big a problem to me, and that's the problem with American sports culture. You could always kind of count on 10 years ago the sports leagues to be pretty apolitical, right? You rooted for your team. There was always a flag. There was always a flyover at a Super Bowl. Pretty much sports, whether we're talking baseball, basketball, football, hockey, they were always, when you turn on a hockey game, they always play the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem. And athletes more or less went about their business, and they weren't terribly political. But that is, oh boy, has that dramatically changed in the era of Obama and now Donald Trump, where actors are almost taking a back seat to the politics of athletes. And there's something particularly venal about what we're seeing in the new political landscape when it comes to sports. At the college level now, you have college athletes who, in my mind, remarkably ungratefully, seem to take getting scholarships. When you're talking at places like the University of Michigan, where it's tens of thousands of dollars. If you're a football recruit to Michigan University, but you're not an in-state Michigan player, Michigan gets most of their good players outside of the state of Michigan. The tuition is about $52,000 a year. That kind of scholarship, plus room and board, plus textbooks, plus free medical care, plus all of your meals, plus all kinds of treatment for masseuses and massage cramps and all sorts of these perks that you get, tutors, hired tutors. We're talking, it's got to be, you're spending close to what? At a place like Michigan, you're spending close to $75,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year on these athletes. And yet what you're beginning to hear from our college athletes now is that we're not going to do this unless you invoke social justice. We have University of Texas players refusing to play unless major changes are being made. We've got the situation with Mike Gundy, the coach at Oklahoma State, who had a T-shirt that basically advertised a conservative website, and he was on a private fishing excursion with some friends and family, and one of the players on the team actually saw a picture of Gundy in his own private life at his own private time wearing a T-shirt that he found unacceptable, and called out his coach on national TV. And what do you know? Lo and behold, it's going to cost Gundy $1 million in reparation apologies. It's going to cost him all sorts of goodwill with his players. Had to bow and scrape and grovel. How about at the professional level, where we saw the situation with Drew Brees, the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, and he said definitively, right? Look, I've always played and stood for the flag. Many of these issues that we're facing in this country are divisive, but it's not the flag that we're protesting, and I'm not going to support this kneeling for the flag. Well, as you can imagine, as I'm sure you know, the athletic forces of cancel came down full-throatedly against Drew Brees, who's been one of the league's great citizens. Don't forget that Drew Brees, when he ended up in New Orleans after Katrina, he spent a lot of money, a lot of donations, a lot of time, a lot of personal clout to try to look after New Orleans after the Katrina flooding. Now, simply because he defended the flag, he had to literally grovel, multiple apologies, multiple whiny apologies about how I need to be educated. This is now he figured it out, right? Breeze, the language. White people need to shut up and listen. Unless, on the one hand, silence, we're told. Silence is complicity. So speak out, white people, against racism. On the other hand, shut up and listen, white people, because you should be listening to these people, to the minorities in this country, telling you how bad they've got it and how much privilege you had. And even most galling, he brought his wife on, his trophy wife on, to give an even more sniveling, self-abasing, anti-white diatribe about how we're the problem. Oh, it's just unbelievable. And then the hypocrisy of the NFL. We turn around and see, just 2 weeks ago, you have DeSean Jackson, a running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, who makes horrifically, and I mean horrifically, anti-Semitic statements. He basically quoting Farrakhan and quoting Hitler. Turned out that like a typical pro football player, he couldn't even get his quotes correct. It was not a Hitler quote, but it was certainly a quote that's something that along the lines of things that Hitler had said. But it wasn't a direct quote from Hitler, but he was, in his own mind, Jackson was quoting Hitler favorably and blaming Jews, scapegoating Jews, talking about the predatory nature of Jews when it comes to inner cities and minorities, particularly black people. And we've got the president of the Philadelphia Eagles is a noted liberal, a man by the name of Lurie, who just did a new documentary about the Nazi era. And being, of course, that Jackson is black, and this is the Black Lives Matter era, he was talked to. He was given a talking to. You could contrast the treatment of Drew Brees and the treatment of DeSean Jackson. Jackson actually said something racist, something anti-Semitic, something nasty, and he quoted one of the worst people in human history to do it. All Drew Brees and a talking to. Meanwhile, other players in the NFL and in the NBA have come to the defense of Jackson, saying that Farrakhan was right, that they support what he said. This is where our athletes are. Drew Brees, for simply defending the flag, is now considered to be a racist scum. Go back to Marshall Mathers. You may know him as Eminem, the white rapper. How come that's not a cultural appropriation, by the way? Shouldn't Marshall Mathers have to reject all of his royalties for his music because he's exploiting black forms of music, right? He's a rapper, hip-hop artist. Not since Vanilla Ice have you had somebody more pale than Marshall Mathers rapping himself to riches and fame. Shouldn't he have to give that back? But Marshall Mathers came out and cut a new track in which he uses the phrase F Drew Brees, right? That's part of the song. And you can look at the disproportionate way that we understand it. And how about, to my mind, one of the most shocking aspects of this of all, the NBA in China. So the NBA now is going to begin playing games this July in a bridge schedule. But now the league has approved all sorts of social justice sayings that the players will be able to wear for the first couple of weeks of the season. All kind of things like "I can't breathe" to "Black Lives Matter." Interesting, you as a viewer, you can go to the NBA online shops and you can buy jerseys of your famous teams, and you can put your own social justice messages on the back. You can have them custom made. And when people tried to do this and signed up for free Hong Kong, right, out from the boot heel of Chinese communism, that the NBA stores won't let you print. You can put "kill cops." You can put all kinds of nasty things about Jews when you try to enter the phrase you want. Try "Jews are killers." Try that one. Or try again, "kill cops." You would be able to theoretically purchase a jersey with those statements on it. But they have gone out of their way. If you try to type in "free Hong Kong," they will not let you do it. These are the same NBA athletes who are making millions of dollars off of children and slave labor in communist China making tennis shoes. You've got Uyghur Muslims, about 1 million of them under arrest, doing slave labor. You've got sweatshops for big progressive companies, Colin Kaepernick companies like Nike, right? Colin Kaepernick is making millions of dollars from Nike, who is making billions of dollars off tennis shoes made in sweatshops by children in China. And the NBA has nothing to say about this, and Colin Kaepernick has nothing to say about this. Why would he? He loves communism, right? That's what he envisions for America. You've got 1 million, like I said, Muslim Uyghurs in detention centers doing slave labor. So you've got very rich black athletes, people like LeBron, right? People like Nate Silver, the chairman of the NBA, the league, the commissioner, saying things like, "Well, they just do things differently in China. We have to respect their difference." These are the same players and owners and managers who are screaming about how unfair this country is, trashing all of our monuments, trashing our history. These are or in the case of LeBron, literally almost billionaire players who, when it comes to China and how they're getting rich off China and their league is getting rich off China, they defend China. Right? At one point, LeBron James even said, this is the problem of people having too much free will, too much free speech. They use it to say bad things about the Chinese communists. Doesn't matter what bad things you say about America, we're still billionaire athletes. We're going to get our cut. But don't you dare say bad things about China, who provides us with our TV revenue, our ad contracts, and our tennis shoes. This kind of elevating of athletics to the point of politics is bad for everybody. And I only can hope that we see a boycott, a not boycott, and people stay away from the major leagues once they get started again. I'm Dr. Duke with The New American.